Name, Leftover Ninja. Trip date, November 6, 2022. Age, 19. Setting, empty house. Gender, male. Height, 5'10". Weight, 160 pounds. Medications, guanfacine 3 mg, Buspar 30 mg times 2, Quivivik 25 mg, folic acid, multivitamin. Dose: DXM, 150 mg, oral, at 11 a.m. 2C-B, 10 mg, oral, at 1 p.m. Introduction. Originally, I planned on using 2C-B alone. Unfortunately, the dealer gave me much less than anticipated, and as a result I was only able to use 10 mg. My intentions going in was to potentiate the 2C-B with DXM, and possibly have a synergy. I have used DXM multiple times before at mid-second plat, and once at first plat with a half a gram cubes shroom combo, which was incredible. I have used 2C-B once before, 20 mg insufflated, but I mixed it with weed, and as I have learned previously and learned again, weed and psychs do not work well for me. It made me anxious and it was hard to enjoy the trip. Going into this trip, my plan was to relax and enjoy. I did not want to be introspective or judge myself. I have realized and learned in the past, from my past experience with ego death, that in essence I struggle with believing positive things about me, and that my negative irrational feelings can be overpowering. As a result, my focus was to push on those affirmations and good feelings. A sort of CBT concept. The house I am in was empty at the time, and I had space to myself. I bought grapes, popcorn, gum, nitrous cans, and more to enjoy for the trip. I dosed DPH and Zofran ahead of time for nausea, and dosed the DXM 2 hours before the 2C-B. DXM usually takes 2 hours for me to start, so as a result I figured it would also help me ease into the 2C-B. As I heard the come up can be rough. I was especially worried about nausea from the 2C-B, DXM combo. I have had bad trips in the past mainly caused by others, and I felt a solo trip would be the best way to go about it. I usually am able to control myself and handle thoughts when it is just me alone. I had talked to people beforehand and went through my thought process of doing a trip, and was certain this was something I wanted to do. I prepared myself notes with affirmations and responses to certain negative thoughts I thought I might experience. This isn't my first rodeo. I had friends that could come over, friends I could call. I have trip killers and assistants. Gabapentin, trazodone, and seroquel. I felt ready for the trip. Onset: 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. I dosed the DXM. I remember feeling anxious and somewhat regretful. Why did I do this? I thought. For a while now I have been thinking about doing a trip, and the main intention for the trip was to enjoy and give myself the experience of having a solo good trip. I reminded myself that I thought this through, I could always end the trip, and I might as well see where it goes and plan for the best. Anxiety didn't gain me anything. As the hour went on, I began to feel a buzz. It's almost that feeling once you snort a drug. You don't feel it instantly, but you get the rush from the act of snorting. Similarly, I felt a sort of buzz from ingesting the drug. Something was coming, and I felt it. 12 p.m. to 12:30 p.m. I began to feel sort of wonky. That I'm sideways type feeling. I remember I was trying to keep voice notes of my feelings beforehand and during, and I felt mostly sober and I didn't have many visuals. But when I started to try and make another voice note, I realized how not sober I was. As time continued, I began to feel a light weight taken off me. My back pain, from an injury, was starting to become relieved. Everything became more floaty and lighter. I felt everything have a slight glow to it. I walked around a bit and finished prepping my room for the trip. I also prepared the 2C-B for dosing. I had been waiting to put on my tripping music, and began playing emo rap, Lil Peep, XXXTentacion, Juice WRLD, etc., and singing along with it. Sounding drunk as I sung. 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. I don't vape normally. But on special occasions I'm okay with me doing it. I bought a vape special for the trip and have gotten rid of it since the end of the trip. I remembered from now and going on I started to step outside, sit in a plastic chair in the backyard, and vape. I listened to music, looked at nature, and enjoyed the sun on my skin. The heat felt nice on DXM. I began to feel temperature dysregulation from the DXM. I noticed this because while it was decently warm outside, although not hot, I felt a bit chilly. Going inside my room, I kept changing the AC to adjust. I finalized on 20 degrees Celsius, eventually going to 19, and wearing a hoodie while inside and out. I kept myself drinking water, and enjoyed the music. I meditated for parts of it and listened to music for other parts of it. Promptly at 1 p.m., I dosed the 2C-B. I made sure that mentally I was ready for it. I felt it was the right call. I felt okay. I felt confident. I had worked through most of my anxieties. 1 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. This was an interesting time. I started to feel a come up from the 2C-B, and as the DXM had begun to peak around 1 p.m., it was quite pleasant. I kept expecting nausea, yet it never came. I kept a bag next to me, ready to throw up, but again, it never came. I was very happy about this. I am very sensitive to nausea and prone to throwing up. The DXM peak is pleasant as always. A dissociated state of drunkenness, anxiety relief, light dissociation. It was not a heavy dose, light plat 1, and I did this for a reason. I started to feel a buzz and body high build from the 2C-B, my visuals starting swirling and geometric patterns starting to come about. My floor started to have patterns, not geometric, but almost grouping together random mixes of stones and designs. It was incredible. Peak. 1:30 p.m. I used the equivalent of 2 nitrous cartridges. This is what really kicked off my trip. The 2C-B was kicking in so fast, it was hard to tell if I was ingesting nitrous or if I was just getting higher. It was both. I knew this because I had the taste and feel of nitrous, and the out-of-body woe bliss experience. At one point, I used the canister and I tasted blood. I got super confused and became worried at what had happened. Standing up and looking into the mirror, I realized I was picking my lips and as a result began to bleed. The bleeding had spread onto the canister. I cleaned up, and started to drink more water and it mostly went away. I am proud of myself for not panicking and being very rational about this. I think the 2C-B helped guide me in this and the DXM took the edge off of the anxiety for it. The nitrous, as I said, kicked off the trip, and when the nitrous was over, I was peaked on 2C-B. I always feel it goes like this. It just transitioned me from a small high, to tripping. Or as my friend called it, Nexuswalk, Nexus plus Robowalk, like Nexus flipping. 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. I began to feel the 2C-B more and more and peaked very fast for it. I suspect that is because I had practically fasted for the day, and only ate 2 pieces of bread in the morning. 2C-B felt like a MDMA roll with visuals of a swirly, beautiful phenethylamine. I finally turned on my tripping playlist, laid in bed, and enjoyed it. Looking up at the top of my bunk bed, I am on the bottom bunk. The cardboard under the mattress had a beautiful geometric design. Something right out of a psychedelic replication. It was an Aztec octagon-like design. It kept fading in and out and repeated up and down the mattress. I watched it move, and laughed at how amazing it was. I remember looking out the window and enjoying the sights. I walked around the bedroom and watched things move and turn and swirl. It was psychedelic after all. Everything was vibrant, it shimmered and glowed. It was beautiful. I felt a practical MDMA high. I felt a natural love and happiness inside of me. I loved myself, I loved life, and even at one point wrote this down: enjoy the time you have. I wiggled and rolled around in bed, under a light blanket for comfort, hood up, and speaker blasting Tame Impala and other psytrance music. 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. The DXM synergized so well with the 2C-B. It certainly enhanced the visuals and gave a sort of dissociative spin to it. It felt like dissociated flavored psychedelic visuals. I didn't have glitching, teleporting, nothing like that. But everything still had a wonky drunkenness to it, a ketamine-like enhancement. I felt the headspace of a dissociative but almost guided by an empathogen. I felt a bit dissociated, a bit out of body, with tracers and shimmering. It was the perfect synergy. Over the course of the hour, I had some negative thoughts come in. I made sure to break these thoughts down, acknowledge they are irrational, and put them aside. I meditated for parts of it to do this, and distracted myself/changed up the vibe for other parts of it. This was greatly effective, and I'd say very little of the trip was affected, and most of all I did not spiral or just feel the trip was ruined by a fleeting negative thought, which would cause even more bad thoughts. I every so often stepped outside to the plastic chair and vaped. I love nature, and nature on these drugs was amazing. Everything felt so vibrant and pretty. I saw patterns in the grass and stone walls, and it was very enjoyable. I wanted to go outside but was waiting to make sure I didn't get sick and I could handle the full peak before going out. I sat in the chair, leaned back, and felt very happy and at peace with myself and my consciousness. 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. I went outside and had one of the best times of my life. I went down to the park and just stared at the trees and grass. It was beautiful. It was much of the same visuals, but enhanced by the bright light and nature. The grass kept forming patterns and shapes, the rocks moved and flowed, everything had tracers. My earbuds were in and I played psytrance. I continued to focus on loving myself and being happy with where I am at life. I focused on loving life and being proud of myself. I kept saying I needed this, and that was so true. The body high of DXM and 2C-B worked so well together, the visuals were perfect, the headspace was perfect. I couldn't have asked for anything better. The body temperature was uncomfortable but not actively. I didn't notice it much, but at times I tried to figure out if I should cool down, or warm up, depending on my AC. It was hard to judge where I was at and I tried my best to stay cool. For example, I took off my hoodie when going outside. I snacked on grapes, popcorn, and other candy. It was very pleasant and I heavily enjoyed it. I just wanted to note this as I did not get nauseous from any of it, and it tasted amazing. It enhanced the flavor and was novel to me, as was everything else I saw. Offset. 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. The come down wasn't so bad. I started to sober up very fast and was confused at how fast I was becoming sober. By 4:30, I had sobered up nearly entirely except for a buzz. I had expected oral 2C-B to last longer, but I do understand I took a low dose of both. I felt good mentally, but I became uncomfortable with the present reality. It felt off. I was tired, but happy with a 2C-B/DXM afterglow that was quite pleasant. This was reminding me of the beginning of my last ego death, and I decided I wanted to stay in a chill, relaxed headspace and keep up the good times. I dosed 100 mg gabapentin, and 300 mg an hour after that. This took the edge off and I felt much better. I watched Breaking Bad, played music, and hung out. Conclusion, aftermath. I am very happy that I did this trip. I felt it showed I could solo trip and handle myself, and it also showed me that I am able to enjoy things by myself and relax. In the past, I've gotten caught up in solving all my problems or finding the answer to things. I'm not saying there shouldn't be trips for introspection, and I plan on having these trips in the future. But what I needed the most was to relax and love myself. That is exactly what I did. Reflecting on the trip, I think it has helped me a lot mentally and I am proud of myself. 2C-B and DXM was a fantastic combo and I am surprised more do not do the combination. I read a few trip reports and Reddit posts, but not much more. I for the future will certainly do this combination again. Likely dosing higher amounts of DXM, and reducing 2C-B throughout, likely nasally. I also am now even more interested in trying ketamine with other psychedelics.